much to the next EduNation Global's webinar. And this time we will be talking about creativity, which is my absolutely favorite topic to talk about with teachers around the world. Please be so kind and let me know if you can see me well and you can hear me well in your comments, whether you are watching us in YouTube or whether you're watching us in Facebook. Please be so kind and let me know where you are watching us from and whether you can see me and hear me well. I will be looking forward to receiving your emails. Now, to the point. We are going to be talking today about issues which, for me, are extremely important from the point of view of a teacher who I am. I have been teaching English for over 20 years now. I have been training teachers on how to teach, how to be better teachers in the last 16 years. And one of the topics that I have chosen as my key topic of teacher training is developing creativity. And I have been fascinated by the topic of creativity for very many years. I took a photo of just a selection of some of the books that I have read, and I have been recommending to teachers in Poland for the last several years. And those of you who have worked with me or have known me for some time now know that I have been preparing lots and lots of different courses and development projects for teachers, such as the design thinking course or the training of creativity for teachers, for students. So we will be discussing today the issues that for me are the issues of the greatest importance in teachers' work. But the way I see creativity is not this skill, the ability to come up with some artistic aspects in your work. That's not how I see creativity. For me, creativity is much more related with your innovativeness, with ways of solving problems. And obviously, being teachers, we come up with many different problems in our lives. Sometimes these problems will be organizational. Sometimes these problems will be of a completely different nature. Sometimes they will be related to your relations with students. Sometimes they will be related very much to the matter of a lesson. So every single day we come up with many different solutions, or we are trying to come up with many different solutions to extremely many problems that stand in our way. And the more creative we are and the more innovative we are, the better and the easier our life is. And this is what today's webinar is going to be about. So I will be talking to you a little bit about the rules that help all of us function better in our educational environment, and following these rules, I'm sure, will help you become better innovators, better and better teacher. And also, what is extremely important for me, happier teachers and teachers who find their work more rewarding, which in my opinion is extremely important. So the rule today is that you will quite often see in my slides two icons. One of those icons is a sheet of paper with a tick, a yellow tick. The second icon is a light bulb. So when you see the icon with the sheet of paper and a yellow tick, green tick, I'm sorry, this is when we are going to be discussing rules, and also this is where I will be super happy if you take notes of the things that I'm going to be talking about. When you see the light bulb, this will symbolize a moment in my presentation in which I will be showing you ideas on how to work more effectively in terms of creativity. So let us start with some definitions about what creativity is and how creativity will be understood during this coming, let's say, 40 minutes ish. So the way I understand, and I will understand creativity here in this webinar, is the following 3 points. So creativity is creating new ideas, concepts, or associations, but in a way that no one has seen before. By saying no one, what I want to say is that not necessarily no one, but no one you know, you in your life, these ideas, these concepts, or these associations, these solutions to your problems have not appeared before in your life. And also creativity will be understood here during this webinar as thinking in a way which leads to original and appropriate solutions. So as you see, I very much see creativity not as something artistic, not as something that is only a let's say a gift of people who are artists, poets, painters, writers, musicians, composers, but definitely something that is a gift to all of us who have got smaller or bigger problems or issues in our teacher's life, and we want to find solutions to these problems or these issues. Now, my why, I really like to use the word why in explaining why I do things. This obviously I took after Simon Sinek, who wrote a book about people's why, so the deepest reason why people do things. So what is my why in terms of creativity? I very, very, very much believe that creativity is absolutely fascinating, and developing it, and I will be talking about developing creativity in a moment, a little bit more, makes you happier, solving problems in a way that you have never solved them before, coming up new ways of presenting ideas, of working with your students, of solving problems with your colleagues, really does make you happier and also prouder. And also, I love the fact that creativity needs structure, because I am a quite structured person and quite a structured trainer, quite a structured teacher, quite a structured parent, quite a structured human being. So I love the fact that creativity does need structure, and I will talk about the paradox of structure in a moment. And it does need constraints. And we may be thinking that the fact that that this is the truth about creativity is that we need constraints, we need limits to be more creative. Some people may think, well, is this good? Why? What are you so happy about? But I'm actually extremely happy about the fact that there are constraints and that there are limits, because we really very, very, very much need them. So the question to you now, and if you are kind enough to write answers in the chat, I will be super happy to be reading them later on. When do you think you are most creative? So try to think about the situation in your life that you remember. You came up with ideas that were super creative, ideas that solved your problems immediately, ideas that surprised you with their innovativeness. So the question is, what was the situation? When were you? What kind of situation surrounded you? What did you see? What were you doing when you came up with that idea? And so on. So again, the question is, when are you most creative? And now, if you take a look at this infographics that I found in Pinterest, and I really love it. It shows 40 ways to stay creative, how to stay creative. And I really very much like showing teachers this design because it shows so many different situations which help us in developing our creativity. Creativity, and I will talk about it in more detail in a moment, is a muscle, and it needs work just like any other muscle, just like your biceps or the muscles that you have got anywhere in your body. If you want them to grow, you need to train them. And this infographic shows how the muscle called creativity uh, could be and should be practiced. And obviously, out of those 40 ideas, not every idea will be good for you. Not every idea will be proper for you. But if you could right now take a look and see whether you can recognize moments or situations, and which number is it, which in which you a minute ago thought about when I asked you when you are most creative. Some people say that they are most creative when they socialize. So number 5, socialize with other people. Some people say that they are extremely creative when they listen to music, when they sketch, when they get out, so they are somewhere outside, when they question things, when they turn off distractions, when they let go of fear, when they take risks, when they visit museums and galleries. So now take a moment, take a look at these infographics and try to think whether in any of these points, and you can obviously also write these numbers in the chat, and I will be super thankful if you do, which number you associate with these moments that you are most creative in. A wonderful infographics which I absolutely love, and I always show it to at the beginning of every training session, showing teachers that if you want to be more creative, if you want to have more ideas, you need to first of all take a close look at how you function, take a close look at who you are, and in which situations you feel more innovative, which situations make you more innovative. Now, there are quite a lot of rules, quite a lot of truths, quite a lot of general opinions about creativity, which I think we all need to remember. And the first of such truths, the first of such rules is that creativity is not for the few selected people. So if we seem to be thinking that everyone around me is creative but not me, this is not true. Every single human being, every single teacher, every single person working in education or being the object of education or subject is creative. So you were born creative. I'm 100% sure about that. If you feel that you are not, it probably means that you have not trained your creativity enough or intensively enough. And today we will be talking about how to do it. But all of us are creative. I am creative. You are creative. Your colleagues are creative. Not only artists, not only poets, not only musicians, but every single human being. If you think that creativity is well, more present, let's say, with people with high IQ, it is not true. So high IQ is not the indication of creativity. People with lower level of IQ are equally creative, or maybe equally creative, if we understand creativity as in the definitions that I showed you before. So as coming up with new ideas, coming up with new solutions that you have not yet come up with in your life, solutions that make you happy, solutions that make you more satisfied. And a very important point, a very important piece of advice and piece of information is that you can raise your level of creativity, you can train your creativity, you can be more creative every single day, but you need to make a decision, and maybe the decision will be made today, that you will do it, that you will enter the path of creativity training. And if you train your creativity every day, I promise that the quality of ideas that will start coming, that you will start coming up with, will be greater and greater. And all the people that have decided to do that, all the people that have decided to train their creativity, to think about their creativity, to give their creativity a chance, they say that after just a few days, a couple of weeks, the quality of ideas that they started coming up with rose dramatically. So to summarize, creativity is a muscle, and the more you exercise, the better ideas you have. So general rules, general piece of advice: you need to practice every day. And by practicing every day, I mean practicing new things, practicing and giving yourself courage to to put to life the ideas that you came up with. I would like to encourage you very much to an exercise that I read about in a book by Julia Cameron. And Julia Cameron is quite an elderly woman right now who is a creativity trainer and also script writer. She used to be a script writer. And she has written a couple of books, and one of those books is titled Artist Way. It's a wonderful book, not only for artists, but it gives you a 12-week program on how to raise your creativity level. And one of the ideas that Julia Cameron supports in this book is the writing the so-called morning pages. What are morning pages? Morning pages is an activity which I absolutely adore and I absolutely recommend everyone do, in which you wake up every single day, and the first thing that you do is writing 3 pages in your notebook. 3 pages of what, you may want to ask. These will be the 3 pages of whatever comes to your mind. So you don't plan what your morning pages will be. You wake up with a mood. You wake up with a state of mind. Some people wake up with fears. Some people wake up with already quite high level of tiredness. Some people wake up with excitement. The first thing that you do is you write 3 pages of whatever comes to your mind. So obviously it may mean that you have to wake up 10, 15 minutes earlier. But what this exercise does, it raises your level of creativity and it lowers your level of fear. Fear is not a friend of creativity. So if we are afraid of something, if you have a high level of criticism inside you, inside your head, morning pages help you with it very, very, very much. I have tried writing morning. Julia Cameron, maybe that's the first thing that I should say. Julia Cameron says that you should be doing this every single day. And she has been doing this for decades now, I think over 30 years, I guess. I was not as consistent, but I had moments when I was in this 12-week program that I was writing morning pages every single day. And I remember this as an immensely wonderful activity, raising your level of courage, which is very important for creativity, lowering your level of stress, which again is super important for raising your level of creativity, and also raising the level of ideas that come. Now, the second point that I would like to draw your attention to when talking about it is that a good tip concerning raising your creativity level is writing down all your ideas. So a very good point is, and a very good habit is always having a notebook with you. Right now, with mobile phones, we have got our note-taking apps. So if you prefer this way of writing down ideas, why not? I myself like very much traditional notebooks, and I always have a notebook with me. Why is it important? There are moments in your life in which I'm sure about that because every single person functions this way, in which ideas come to your mind, solutions come to your mind, some thoughts which maybe are not to be put in practice right now, but they should be put in a so-called waiting room. And if you don't write them down, they will disappear. You will forget about it. How often does it happen to you? It sometimes happens to me when I say, "Oh, I remember I had such a good idea and I can't remember what it is or what it was." So, an extremely important point, have a notebook with you or have your note-taking app always present with you and write down all ideas. Also, a good piece of advice for raising creativity level is in your notebook, have a page which will be titled a waiting room. Not all ideas are to be implemented here and now. Some ideas are to be implemented in a week's time, in a month's time, or when the right time comes. And I have had my waiting rooms in all notebooks and I have been keeping notebooks for many years right now. So, and I never throw them away. I like this habit of coming back to my notebooks and rereading them or looking at some ideas that I had 2, 3, 5 years ago and come back to some of them. That's also a wonderful element of creativity, in my opinion. So have your waiting room page in your notebook and put all ideas which maybe are not, the time is not good, the time is not right for them right now, but there will be time later on. Good note to take is that pressure helps creativity. We seem to be thinking that creativity functions best when we are completely free. Now, all psychological studies concerning the creativity of a human being say that, well, not really. Freedom of mind, freedom of emotions doesn't help as much as constraint, as much as pressure. So if you are pressed for time, pressed for results, pressed for solution, it might actually be a situation conducive to your creativity rather than not. So if you want to have more ideas, if you want to have better ideas, if you would like to have a higher quality of your ideas, take a look at this idea that I'm showing you right now. Work under strict time limits. That is, if you think that, or if you are in a situation in which you need to come up with some really good ideas concerning some creative ways of finishing the school year, then take a sheet of paper, set a time limit for, let's say, 20 minutes, and with your sheet of paper, write down all ideas that come to your mind without any criticism, without any evaluation. Just write whatever comes to your mind. Ideally, if you do it not on your own, but with other people. I will be talking about cooperation in a moment. And work under strict time limits with a timer. So don't give yourself all the time in the world. Don't give yourself the whole weekend. Give yourself 20 minutes. But in these 20 minutes, do not do anything else but come up with ideas concerning this particular subject. Now, defined structure helps creativity. And there is something that is called the structure paradox. There was an experiment conducted some years ago in the United States in which psychologists were looking at how children behave in two playgrounds. One of those playgrounds was space with no space limits, so no fencing. It was a playground with a lot of different structures, a lot of different places to play, sandbox, swings, seesaws, and so on, but no fencing, no space limitation. And the second playground was exactly the same, with one difference: there was fencing around it, so children knew exactly where the playground starts and when it finishes, where exactly the defined space is. And the instruction that was given to two groups of kids was: use the space that you want, play wherever you want. And as you may probably suspect, kids who were playing in the playground with no fencing, they didn't know where the limits are. So they didn't know how much exactly they can how much of the space exactly they can use. So in result, they were using very limited space. Why? Because they didn't know where the safe space for them to play finishes. So they were playing very close to each other and in a very, very limited space. Now, kids who knew exactly where the limits are, who knew exactly where the fencing closes, where the space, like how exactly limited space is, they practiced. They occupied the whole space, the much larger space than those that didn't have limits. And this is in psychology called the structure paradox. The conclusion was, and the conclusion is, that if we know the rules, if we know the limits, if we know where exactly the limits go, our creativity and our freedom feels safer, and we feel safer to use up all the space that we have. If we don't know where the limits are, if we don't know where the structure closes, it is extremely difficult for us to feel safe. And creativity needs safety, the psychological safety. So, in other words, the more structured the space, the higher the creativity level, and hence the name, the structure paradox. So if you have a project, which it may be a small project or a large project, which requires a certain level of creativity from you, set project limits. Tell people who are in this project with you, your students, the parents, the director, other teachers, the staff of school, what the limits are. In other words, you need to be extremely specific about time, about money, about rules. Make them as specific as possible, and you will see that these limitations raise the level of creativity of the team that is working on the project rather than not. So we are trying to make the problem that we need to solve as specific as possible. For example, if you, at the end of the year, think, the school year, if you think, well, next year, I need to have more clients, you see that financially you really need to have more students. And you sit down with the project of, now I will come up with ideas on how to gather, how to gain more clients for my lessons, more students for my lessons, more clients for the school. This is not enough to say, I need to have more clients. You will see that a much more the instruction that is much more conducive to your creativity will be saying to yourself or to the team that comes up with the solutions, we need to have 40 more clients, 40 40 more rather than just more. And you will see that limiting or specifying this number, excuse me, will have a greater impact on your creativity rather than just saying more. Because more may mean 1, more may mean 2, more may mean 100. For everybody, it will mean something different. 40 means the same to everybody. Now, an extremely important point in creativity practice and in staying more and more creative is not doing this on your own. So building a team and having very strictly defined rules in how this team works. So one of the most important issues that you need to deal with when you work with a team of teachers, when you, as a teacher in your class, you want to have a creative project with your students, the rule of cooperation over competition is extremely important. So what you need to do is you need to contract with the people that you carry out the project. What exactly cooperation means? You build a team in which everyone should be equal. There cannot be hierarchy. There could be and even should be a moderator of this team, but not the boss, not the owner. When a team comes up with many different ideas, all of these ideas are owned by the whole team. Even if you finally articulate the idea which in the end will be the chosen one, will be the one that the school produces or the class puts into practice. The fact that you articulated this idea doesn't mean that it is your idea, because the fact that it was born in your head is the result of all the previous sentences said by the group, all the previous ideas that the group had. You never work in void. You are never a lone island if you work with a team. And this is a rule that everyone needs to understand and everyone needs to realize. If you work with a team, the owner of the idea is the whole team and not the person who in the end articulated the final idea which was chosen by the group. This is extremely, extremely important for that project, but also for any other project that you in the future decide to carry out with that particular group of people. So creativity management is something that a teacher should be aware of. And by creativity management, I mean creativity of my own, the management of my own kind of self-creativity. I need to realize in which situations I am the most creative. Is it when I'm on a walk? Is it when I'm walking my dog? Is it when I'm swimming? Is it when I'm in a bath? And so on. And is it when I'm dancing? Or is it when I'm pressed for time or for money? You need to know and manage yourself in a way to give yourself more and more of these situations in which you feel that you are most creative. But also, you need to be 100% sure and aware of the fact that you, as a team leader, as a teacher, if you want to, your class or your school or your staff to be creative, you need to know how to manage this team very well. So in terms of creativity management, what we need to realize are certain rules that it is really a good idea to set and to agree on with the whole team. Rule number 1 is that creativity really works best when we are having good fun. So this is something that we contract with our group, with the team that we work with. We are here to create new ideas. We are here to solve new ideas, but we are here to have good fun. Quantity over quality is, I'm sorry, because the Y in quality got eaten somewhere. Quantity over quality is a rule for brainstorming. When you brainstorm ideas, and this is one of the key activities that we do when in our creative sessions, the idea is that we write down all ideas that come. We write down everything that is articulated by the team. And the idea is that we need to come up with as many ideas as possible. Why? Because the more ideas we have, the better these ideas are in the end. The worst ideas are the ones that are articulated at the beginning, but they need to be articulated. So don't tell your group that, oh, the worst will be the first, second, and third, because no one will want to say them. But you as a moderator, you as a teacher, you as a group leader, you as someone who manages this creative team, you need to realize that the better ideas come later, but you need to have this kind of space of safety, of psychological safety, of feeling that I can say even really, really stupid, irrational things, because on the basis of these irrational ideas, someone may come up with a completely new idea, which will be best, which will be better, which will be innovative and rational. So you need to contract this so-called late evaluation with your students, with your team, with your staff. And by late evaluation, we mean when we are coming up with ideas, there are two phases of this process. One phase is the generative phase, in which everyone comes up with as many ideas as possible. There is no space, no room in these moments for evaluation. So by evaluation, I mean saying, oh, wonderful, or saying, oh, bad. Both of these opinions are evaluation, so they should not in this phase appear. And then there is space for evaluation, but later. And of course, we all need to feel safe in this in these moments. So we need to set clear rules. The group needs to know what the rules are, and you, as a teacher of a creative class, as a manager of a creative school, as a moderator of a creative group of people, always build a team. You need to safeguard that these rules are followed. And the most important, there's a typo, I'm sorry. The probably most important rules is that you need to understand that you need to turn off your internal critic. So the critic that you have got inside your head who says, don't say it, it's stupid. And also to turn off the external critics, so all the critics who exist in the team. A very good exercise for us to turn off, kind of like to warm up a creative team, warm up ourselves to stay more creative, to be more creative, to believe that I may turn off the critics, I may be creative, I may create new things without being judged, without being criticized, is drawing portraits. So if you have a moment in your team, in your class, 5-10 minutes maximum, you may ask your group to first of all divide them into pairs, and ask the members of each pair to draw a portrait of their colleagues or classmates. And then, if once they have finished, they need to show each other these portraits. But one thing is forbidden, and that is saying, "I'm sorry." I have done this exercise many times, and a lot of times, probably more often than not, have I heard from teachers who have just drawn a portrait of someone sitting in front of them. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not an artist, I'm sorry. And we, on basis of this behavior, we always draw these conclusions that you cannot be sorry for your creativity. You should never feel sorry for things that you have created, because it is the expression of your innovativeness, expression of your ideas, expression of your creativity. You need to kill this reaction. I am not sorry. This is what I created. I am not sorry for my creation. So try to do this activity and see how often do you feel that you need to feel to say sorry that you have created something. Don't feel sorry. Now, with your creative team or individually as well, if you have a problem to solve, if you have an issue that you cannot really find a solution to, and you feel that you need to have a tool that will help you, I would like to suggest to you a tool that I absolutely love, and it has helped me and a lot of teams very much to help in coming up with creative ideas or creative solutions. And this tool, this exercise is called the Ishikawa or Ishikawa, depending on the pronunciation, diagram. Sometimes it's called a fish diagram. So what you do is you draw you draw a fish, and the head is the problem that you have got. So there are maybe many different problems. For example, students who do not want to cooperate. My students do not want to cooperate. Or parents are not helpful. They come to parent meetings and they say nothing. Or there are conflicts between staff members. And you sit down, you draw this diagram with the problem stated where fish has got head. And you are trying to come up with reasons for this problem. And the reasons have got 6 different areas, let's say, or 6 different topic zones. The problems may be related with a man, so with a human being. So they are human being related problems, character problems, personality problems. The second zone is equipment. So maybe there is a problem with equipment that we have got. Sometimes some areas will not be appropriate for that particular problem that we have. Maybe there is a problem with a method of work. Maybe there is a problem with our environment, maybe with material, maybe with measurement. So if you take a look, this is not, I have got this idea for you how differently someone worked with the Ishikawa diagram. The problem was low website traffic, and the ideas and the zones that the creative team came up with were maybe there's a problem with SEO, I'm sorry, so the search engine optimization. Maybe there is a problem with content. Maybe there is a problem with promotion. Maybe there is a problem with backlinking, and so on and so forth. So you don't need to, let me show you the diagram again. You don't need to stick with these particular problems zones. You may come up with your own depending on what kind of problem statement you've got. And then everyone in your team, in your group, sits down, and there is a conversation which is governed by the rules that I told you before. So you set clear rules, the rules of safety, the rules of irrationality, the rules of late evaluation, the rules of quantity over quality, and obviously also the rules of good fun. And we come up with ideas on why the problem is as it is. So, for example, students who don't want to cooperate, you sit down, you write where it says problem statement, you put down the sentence, the problem, students do not want to cooperate. And then we need to come up with as many problems related to men. So what kind of human beings we've got in our group, what kind of human related problems we have, what kind of personalities we have, and so on. Maybe there is a problem with the method of work. Maybe they don't want to cooperate because I don't organize enough the activities related with cooperation. Maybe there is a problem with environment. So what sort of problems with environment? Maybe there is a problem with my measurement of this cooperation of my students, and so on and so forth. So and then you give your team 20-30 minutes of coming up with absolutely no evaluation, no criticism, all the possible reasons, and then after this phase has finished, only then do we evaluate the reasons and try to decide which reasons are the true reasons of this problem and how we are going to deal with them. Now we are going to be slowly drawing to an end of today's meeting. I would like you to remember one last thing, and this thing is the last thing, but it is an extremely important point. If you want to stay creative, and if you want your team to stay creative, if you want your class to cooperate in a creative way, the word failure should disappear from your dictionary. If you want to be a creative entrepreneur, a creative teacher, a creative material designer, a creative lesson designer, a creative school owner, teacher trainer, whoever you want to be in the world of education, you need to forget about the word failure and replace it with the word experiment. Stop saying things like I have failed. Say that that was an experiment and there is going to be another one. The word failure stops your creativity extremely, very, very much. We fear failure. We don't want to fail. We don't like it. No one likes it. So an extremely important change in our attitude to creative ideas, to introducing these ideas, to playing with these ideas, is to not to think that they may fail. They may not be successful, but forget about the word mistake. Forget about the word error. Forget about the word failure. Introduce the word experiment and test. Thank you very much for today's meeting. I hope that it was that you enjoyed it and that you took some pieces of advice for yourself. I hope that you will start your creative or continue your creative adventure, and that every single day will be a day of at least a few new ideas that you decide to implement in your teaching, in your schools, in your management, whichever role you are here with me today. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you very, very, very soon. Goodbye.